especially because there was a lot more players onto the game here. But before we talk any more about adjustments and stuff there, I believe the game's ready again. So it's time for map number 2. All our players should now be jumping into Caldera once again. And let's find out who's coming out on top this time. Well, we're back on board with FIFA Kills and over to our casters, Jess and Ton.
Thank you very much, Brycey. And I can just fully kind of agree with that one. Like when teams like Team FIFA Kills are coming in, and even with their placement, which was not even top 30, the fact that they have 14 points, it's kind of a small victory. You know, if you're finding yourself still 11th after what they would probably put themselves down as a poor game, then that's actually not too bad. But Warzone immediately going for the kill off the rip, just going to leave that one alone, not going to anywhere around where they want to go, and they're going to be dropping mines this time around. And I think, you know, when you look at that 14 kill game, I think there was, what, like still 60, 70 people left, Jess? That's a big game if they can keep that momentum. They'll be going in with the same mantra, I would imagine, to just try and jump things in immediately. Can't blued immediately off the bat for Wars as well, and that's another sniper that you don't want to grab a hold of. But Wars has already done the damage, trying to find a little bit more with this sniper. But they're just so aggressive, and I think, you know, we'll potentially see a game from these guys where they only put up like 4 or 5 kills, or 4 or 5 points, Jess, and that's where it can hurt them. But we also have the same likelihood of them dropping 40 or 50. That's the difference. It's high risk, high reward.
For sure. And something I find also interesting about these standings is there isn't really like a large gap between first, second, third place. I think, you know, first place was something like, what, 32 points. Second place was like 28 points. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I mean, it was right around there, you know. And whereas I've seen other tournaments where someone will have a really phenomenal game off the rip, and they'll just be sat in that first place in the standings forever. And, you know, we didn't see that here. So I think it really just kind of speaks to how close the skill gap is between these players, which is to say, you know, it's very close. These players are skilled very, very similarly, and it's kind of really anyone's game at the end.
Oh yeah, it's not chalked until it's chalked, essentially. It's very much the case in Europe, and I think that is, you know, we were talking about adjustments. Well, teams like Team Anamarov are one of those who maybe do need to make an adjustment. Sitting in 31st right now, 3 points to their name. At the same time, you know, even though they are here, 4 consistent 20-pointers in a row, and all of a sudden you're in the mixer, aren't you? So it's not too much to worry about after game number 1 for any of these teams. One at a time, though, Team Amarov, and Amarov herself probably has something to worry about in the fact that she's been shot in the back. So back it on down, just making sure they get themselves away and in a better spot. Didn't like that fight. They will back off. To any of her fans, if I am butchering her name, I am sorry.
I was actually just about to say because, you know, of course, like I've said, I have a particular interest in, you know, the female competitors in this tournament and in every tournament. That's obviously for obvious reasons holds a special place in my heart. So I always like to look into the women of Warzone and the women of, you know, the games. And so Ana Marrero is a content creator for Heretics. She's from Spain, I believe, of course. Yeah, I think she lives in Madrid. So, of course, I just peeked into her just a little bit. So I'm definitely going to be rooting for her and seeing how she does. I was trying to figure out, I didn't know what the PH meant, but yeah, I believe her name is Ana Marrero.
Well, there you go.
Ana Marrero.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if you want to throw the accent on there as well, I don't think I'm equipped to do that. Well, I mean, she's not equipped to do. I studied Spanish in high school. So did I, and it hasn't helped, even remotely. Well, right now, she's actually not equipped to do a great deal either. She's dead. Back to the gulag for her, and let's see what she can do there. She gets caught out, unfortunately, just in the middle of nowhere, and you can't get away with it in lobbies like this, unfortunately. It's one of those scenarios, if you find yourself in a bad position, likely you will be punished. Into the gulag she goes, though.
Come on. Vámonos!
Against Ganar el gulag. Let's see. Can she get it done? Pania is the one she's got to go up against. The shot's going to come on through with the LMG here. Oh, yes. She actually mounts and finds the kill. There you go. Back into the game. Bring more Spanish to the table, Jess. You know, you said you don't necessarily have the experience for European Warzone. You can definitely bring the European languages, though. I'm very much basic when it comes to it. English only.
Sí, no conozco a los jugadores del Europe, pero yo puedo hablar un poco de español.
you could have said
2v2,
anything.
2v2.
I'll be frank. Oh, cluster strike on Samham's head. That's not ideal. The rest of his team actually doing all right here. Surviving momentarily. I'd imagine Samham's probably not going to survive much longer, but the team might be coming on through, and they may well just get away with it. It seems like there may be another team around.
Wait.
There is that other team. Look at that. Read their minds. Call-outs coming on through. SK will be the one to take down Samham. Kills have come in as well. Gulag going to be coming up for Samham in just a moment. For a team like this as well, though, just 1 point in game number 1. They've already done better.
Yeah, you know, we saw such fire out of Sam in the interview when we were asking him, you know, tell us about your team, and he brought so much excitement and so much confidence, and it's ripping my heart into shreds to see that not the same level of excitement not being exemplified in his gameplay. You know, nothing, no disrespect to Sam, it's not his fault. There's just a ton of talent, but if only he had the same fire in his gameplay.
Wow, you throwing shade right now?
I'm not throwing shade. I'm not throwing shade. I would like to clarify. I'm a big fan of Sam. I would like to join the Sam fam after this, but I would also like to see him win the event. Please, Sam, do it for us. You don't know me. You don't care. Please, Sam.
No, it's all right. I quite happily throw a shade left, right, and center as much as I can. But maybe not to guys
I feel like I
Jukies
shouldn't
and
throw
Co.
any shade because again, like I don't know these players very well, and like I'm definitely not. You know, I don't want them to think I'm like smack talking them or disrespecting them, which I definitely like. Every single person here is way better. They have more Warzone talent in like their pinky fingernail than I have in my entire body. So definitely no shade, no disrespect, just a bit of banter.
I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, just.
It doesn't matter.
It's something Bryce would do, maybe, but maybe not me. He'd do it to me. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we are with Jukies and Co. As said, 14 points on their previous game. Not too bad. You can see Jukies running a scav run now, trying to get themselves some cash on the board. Don't think he's not anywhere near his teammates right now, but plenty of cash coming his way now. So UAV's very much on the cards for them. Loadout will be coming up very, very shortly as well. Already has an MP40 to his name, so not a bad spot for Jukies. Although if he does get caught out by a team of 3 on his own here, I wouldn't like to be in his shoes nonetheless. He is a player who is well equipped to deal with that sort of thing. Now just trying to get up back with these teammates. And I'm curious why they're so far away from each other. It's not necessarily a tactic that I would see employed, especially this early on in the game. 112 remaining. But they need to have a relatively decent game here, get themselves back in and amongst it, but even another 14-pointer would not put them into too bad of a spot.
Maybe they're just gathering some intel, you know, if we spread out, we can cover more ground. Is that not how Warzone is played?
Kinda.
This is why I'm not in the event, because I don't know how to be a good Warzone player.
To be honest, just me neither.
Is that why we're casting and not playing?
Exactly.
Listen, Twitch, one day I hope y'all invite me to be a captain, because it would be terrible.
Who are you managing to recruit for that?
Oh, that's a good question. We could do like a talent special. You know who I would get? I would get Ellen, Dream Crazy.
Yeah.
As one of my players. I would, you know, naturally I would probably try and recruit like 2 other ladies. So, let's see who would be third. I would probably see if Angelica would want to be third. But like,
yeah.
I couldn't be her captain. You know, I would defer to her judgment. So.
She's done very well. As has Jukies and Co. Juki's now really caught in between the rock and a hard place though. Smoke is out. They still know exactly where he is. He's been lit up. His teammates not close enough to help out either. Move Mind and Co. Putting the shots in. They see him there, and he just peeks it far too easily. For that kill to come on through. Rest of the team still alive and kicking, but now on board with Team Alpha Sniper 97. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but Popovski's here. 49th place for them. No kills in the game number 1. No placement. That did them anything with that. Well, no kills. It wouldn't have mattered if they finished first because it wouldn't have multiplied anything. Some quick maths for you on Twitch Rivals. 0 times anything is still 0.
But if you think about it, like if you finish, it's impossible to finish first place with, like you could finish first place and get literally only 1 kill amongst your squad, but it wouldn't be possible to finish first and get 0, right? Unless they all died to the gas.
Yeah, I mean it's
like,
very unlikely.
Yeah, okay. It's not technically impossible, but it's unlikely.
Flag coming on through here. Pabloskis will find one. Someone gets caught slipping. Stem pump trying to get himself away. His teammate is down close by. Good shots with the Bren though. The grenade's just going to distract them. Has to back on down. Teammate not necessarily in the best position where he can be revived, and one of them already down. Gulag has been either lost or he's died once more. So Pavlovski's just going to grab a hold of this res as quickly as he can. Already doing better than they did in game number 1, and that's the thing. Like you can have 1, maybe 2 bad games. The 2, if you can turn it on, in the other 3, then you're looking fantastic. But you really can't have more than 1 or 2 bad games when it does come down to this 5-game format. No, so far so good for them in game number 2. 2 kills to at least Pavlovski's name, and I'd imagine there is more on the board here as well.
And speaking of teams like Alpha Sniper, where, you know, as you mentioned, they're in 49th place in the standings, you know, 0 points for the first game. What do you think is the strategy here starting in game 2 and going forward? Because on the one hand, so like you said, you can't really have more than kind of 1 or 2 bad games to really kind of stand a chance. So how do you come back from something like that? Like, what is the strategy here in game 2? Because on the one hand, it's like, well, they're kind of backs against the wall. It can't really hurt. But on the other hand, it's like, well, they also can't afford to have a bad game if they just kind of go, you know, balls to the wall and just try to be super aggro.
I think you probably go in and just play your game, especially when it comes down to game number 2. Yeah. As said, you can get unlucky in Warzone, especially when it comes down to these tournaments. You can't really make too many mistakes, but you can get unlucky. It's the same in any battle royale. You can get bad floor loot. You can run into a team who have managed to get good floor loot just off the rip. These things can happen to literally the best of us. I think if you go and watch any of the top players in Europe, I said like Jukis, Louis, Lennon, people like that, they will have games where they drop in and they die immediately. It's just the way that battle royale works. So as far as it goes, when you're coming in to play your second game, if you have had a bad start in your first, I think you just play the same way. When it comes to the second game, you go in and see how it goes, and then after that, you kind of can go from there and decide which is the best way to go. If you need to get hyper aggressive, if you need to find those kills later on, then fantastic. If you can just have a consistent game in game number 2, it kind of gives you a better lay of the land of where you can go. And I think it's something you discussed at the top of the show, where you can kind of develop to see where everybody's putting their games up, who's doing well so far, and you can kind of set a barometer of, right, okay, what kind of average do we need to get back in that spot? What can we aim for? Do we need to be aggressive? Do we just play our game once more? I think it's something that teams maybe don't read into too much. I think the majority of the time you drop in, you try and play your game. Somebody who's going to play their game to a very high level, though, is FIFA. Right now, 2 kills to his name. Teammates down, no gulag. 4,400 to his name, so he's going to be at least able to get one of them back in, and that's going to be Wars this time around. And this is not good for them now. 14 points previously. Yeah, okay, that's fine. It keeps you amongst it. But 2 kills to FIFA name. I haven't really seen too much of them on the other side of things, but they have been in fights. They have obviously been at a disadvantage most of the time. As we can see, that Juki's fell, Wars fell. So I can't imagine they have too many kills to their name. Still, the top 30 is once again beckoning for them. But can they get themselves one of those good games? I feel like I'm maybe waffling a little bit on here, but they're one of the teams who can produce those 50 or 60 pointers. So they'll know that in the back of their mind, and it's kind of a different mentality for them if they do have a bad game. They know they can pop off in any of the 5 that they have available, and that can make all the difference.
You know, it's interesting you say this is a team that can produce those 50 or 60 point games, and I think you're absolutely right, but I think the kind of X factor here is, like, every tournament is different, you know, even if it has the same, some of the same creators, there's always kind of a different configuration, or like we said, there's those creators that we maybe haven't heard of, or that like no one's heard of because they're maybe just starting their content creation journey, but they're really amazing behind the scenes. They're just really, really incredible at the game. So that's why their captain picks them up, and then all of a sudden it's like they've exploded onto the scene. So yeah, FIFA Kills and Juki might, under normal circumstances, be able to have like a 50 or 60 point game, but if they're going to get shut down by, you know, somebody that we haven't even don't know that well, or don't have that much experience with, it's like, oh well, we didn't really see that coming, and yet here we are.
I like this. It's very difficult. And I think, you know, when it does come down to these 40 or 50-point games, I am talking like custom games where we have seen them do it. So it is doable. It's very doable for them, but these first 2 games have not went the way that they would have wanted. A team, though, who have done as well as, you know, some would maybe expect, a 2nd place spot for the side of Jesus Jr. He's got Lennon and Drew alongside him. 2nd for them last time around. Had a really good game.
We're on 5 kills.
That's not bad, not bad.
Is that how they
got Lennon doing the maths for me. They've already got 5 kills, 58 remaining.
You got any guns used?
Not a terrible spot.
I do.
To be in at all.
Alright.
Jesus Jr. though, kind of caught in the middle of nowhere, and it is not necessarily ideal. No plates to his name either.
Yeah, I'm getting shot in his
Needs to try and find a way out.
Wait, I've got a pistol. That's close.
Guys, I'm with me, bro.
I'm board with team. I'm Angelica. Yeah, Jessen. Oh, I mean, she's already down, and Woxin has been taken down as well. Not a good spot to be in now. Quicker than you finding the shots.
At least it looks like Vap did in fact wake up, make it for the event. But now I bet he's wishing he had slept through it.
Vap's one of these guys. He's actually won one of these events. He teamed up with Louis CM and Lennon, and they managed to win the qualifier for the first World Series of Warzone Trios when it comes down to Europe. It was a very, very good performance from them, and one of the more typical that, you know, I like to revisit, because they didn't put up any huge 40 or 50s. They were just consistent 20, 25, maybe even 30 here and there. Just very, very decent games all the way through, and they went on to win it because of it. It was just constant top 5 placements. Did very, very well. And that's kind of, you know, one of these things where you look to it, if you're one of these other teams, you're playing around, you haven't had a great start, you can still do well by just putting up decent numbers every single game. Just, as said, 15 to 25 every game you're in with a shot.
I think this team, by the way, Alpha Sniper, speaking of which, I think this is going to be one of those teams that did not have a great start, obviously. They are doing just tremendously better, as you can see. They're in 21st place already, at least. You know, 1 kill, not fantastic, but you know, his teammate, I think Ohomo, just I'm pretty sure respawned from the Gulag, so you know that's another at least 1 kill that they've got, and then they're going to get that multiplier, which they did not get. So I mean, they're already doing leaps and bounds better than they did before. They are kind of in a tricky spot right now where someone has spotted them out. Got plenty of cover in this house, but you know, everybody knows exactly where they are, so see what they can do with the situation. We heard that beautiful Spanish just absolutely flowing so quickly. You know, obviously they're speaking way too fast for me to understand every individual word, but you know, you could tell these comms are clean. You know, he was not stuttering. He, I don't think, was really repeating himself too much or anything like that. He was getting the message across, and his teammates were listening.
The comms are the most important thing. The gunning is also good, but you also need the comms, very much so. These guys just already with the loadouts, already in a decent little spot, and that's, well, I would say at least 4 or 5 kills to their name from what we've seen. See how they can crack on within the rest of this game, already into the top 20, now multipliers coming. I'd hazard a guess they're probably not going to be 49th after the end of this one.
Probably not.
Safely making that statement. Anyway, which way can they go? The zone-wise, they're not in too bad of a spot. No, they don't have to cover the left-hand side because, well, that's the ocean. And actually, nice little spot for them to run along. Plenty of cover on their right because of the bank. As said, no, they're not going to be shot from the sea. But jumping on board with another team who are expected to go on to do well. It's going to be Team Louis CM himself, Prodigy, and Primza. Very, very good team, and Prodigy 7 kills to his name with 40 remaining. It's a very good spot to be in. This man's sense is crazy. Look how, right, okay. I would have thought to myself, he's definitely on the mouse if I couldn't see his controller on the right-hand side. Yeah. But this man's sense is fast.
That is so fascinating.
It's like, I honestly, if nobody had told you, he kind of looks like he was playing on a mouse that was moving so quickly. Is he going to find the shots, the accuracy with it? That will head, but maybe a little bit too far away. Didn't incorporate the drop necessarily. Oh, shots coming in from behind as well. Is going to survive, but go back to being aggressive. Looking for the angle. Has to be very, very careful here. Louis will be telling the team to keep together, and they're going to need to now as they actually have been dropped. Primes inside did find one, and it is actually the team wipe. The Insend Bullet's going to kill him off after he does get sent to the Gulag. So he's got a good chance to get himself back in and find his loadout and get back up and running, but needs to win his Gulag first. Until then, though,
Nah, I don't see him. I think he's under.
let's see what Prodigy can do with the sniper once more.
Yeah, in a fantastic position overall, though.
Yeah, really good spot.
You know, even if Premza doesn't clutch up his Gulag, like, this team has done some good work. This is Prodigy that we're spectating. He's got 7 kills already, and they're in 15th place at least, so this will be one of those big games.
Yeah, the call-out's coming through. Louis theory crafting. Where are they pushing from? When's best time for us to push? Primes did when he's Gulag back into the mix.
Yeah.
That's one thing, and I said when we played like the pro-am, like the commentator side of things. Bryce actually outplays me. He doesn't like to talk about it too much, as you can imagine. But I actually played with Louis, and he's one of these guys in terms of like knowing exactly how to move around the map, knowing exactly what is the best play. This man really does help his team out as best as he possibly can, but he can't really do that when he's dead. Primes at Louis both drop team inside the bunkers. It's probably actually going to go for this. Well, I wasn't too sure about that one. Gets caught in the middle of nowhere. The self-res is not really going to do a great deal. Has he already used his Gulag as well? He has. That's a huge moment for them. But now jumping on board with AB Wiz of Team O'Coil. 26th in the first game. Not necessarily the best for them. But 9 kills to Wiz's name. I couldn't quite see it. Just clocked in on the right-hand side. It's a big game from Wiz so far, with plenty of teams remaining.
I like that we're seeing just a ton of variety in terms of the teams that are playing really well this time versus the teams that played really well last time. And I think part of it is that kind of RNG factor, you know, of sure you can land where you're going to land, but you kind of don't really know where the other teams are going to land, and you can kind of try and mind game each other to some extent, like, oh, they think I'm going to land here, so instead I'm going to land here. But at the end of the day, you really don't know. Players landing in different spots than they did last time always mixes things up, and you know what guns you find is always another factor. So I just love that the little element of RNG that contributes to an already interesting tournament.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's one of these things that, oh, well, it doesn't lend itself to certain teams, that little bit of luck that you need to get to have a good game. Wiz is, I mean, these guys are having an absolute cracker here. What was that? That was 25 kills to their name, I think. That's a sensational game so far. Top 7. Every single placement here for Wiz and Co. and Team O'Coil is absolutely massive. This is going to make things very, very interesting towards the top of the leaderboard, but Wiz and Co have had an absolute stormer. 7 teams remaining, only 10 left as well. 2 on this team, so that in between those 6 teams, there's only 8 guys left remaining.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. They've got a good chance to win this game, and already with a substantial amount of kills and great positioning, they're in a good spot to put their name on the map in this tournament.
So it must be, what, two stacks and then everyone else is singles?
Presumably.
Sniped in the back again.
Oh, he's been dropped from behind though. Weren't covering the angles. Thought they covered it off. He's being dropped. Wiz is out. Danny Cooper coming around behind. So now it's down to Kenny. He falls, but it's still a fantastic game coming out. We're seeing from a slightly delayed point of view. And we can see that thermal sight that Brycey was talking about being used from Kenny here. He gets dropped. I know we've already kind of seen it. Shots coming in, snipe from behind. That's the game. A very good performance out of those, though. As mentioned, it is going to be the 25 kills to their name. Very, very good game out of them.
And
now as we drop
6.
Oh yeah, top 7.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1.5.
yeah, huge.
It's crazy.
Shots. Oh, it's wild. It's a very, very good game. Team Movemind, 3rd on the leaderboard, still alive and kicking with only 3 teams remaining. Good shots coming in from the Brennan. It's actually only CHS TV left alive and kicking. Finds another kill. It's now a 1v1v1 between 3 players for the win. Not in the zone where he needs to be, but Brent in hand, doing damage. Just lying down in the grass. Maybe being a little bit of a snake, but he doesn't really have much cover. Doesn't really have another option. Shot's going to come on through. Another blue coming on in. He's in a good spot. Plenty of armor left to his name. Trophy system there if he needs it also. Would like to maybe get in amongst it. Now it's a 1v1. It's Danny Cooper. They're going to go into this fight with an MP40. Is it going to be the Brent up close and personal? Of course it is. Surely no, and the gunfight goes the other way. It's going to be CHS TV who gets it done. The team that were in third may well be in first after that. A big gunfight win. Second place for Danny Cooper and Co. What an end to the game. The Brent comes out on top. I thought pulls out the MP40 and gets it done.
Well, there we go. Another tense ending between those two. And of course, you know, first and second is only a 0.2, but that could end up paying off, especially if you have a lot of kills in that game. And